Hello. Hello. We're live. We're live. Let's see. There's two people here. Hey, Dave and Katie. Nice to see you guys. Can you hear me? All right. Excellent. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Perfect. How are you guys doing? I think I'm a little too bright. My background's a little bit too bright. I'm in the van today. Let's see here. Maybe that makes it a little bit better. Fix my collar here. All right. So, what are we going to talk about today? We got three people here. This is exciting. Let's see who's here. Um, oh, it's so great to see you guys on here on this live. This is the first live I've done, um, really in a long time. I think the last live I did was with my mother when Mama Wags and I were traveling together back in 2019, I think. It's been a long time since I've done a live, and I was actually surprised that I know what the heck I'm doing, and not so quite sure that I do, but that's okay. That's all right. It's just great to connect with my subscribers and with folks that I know. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. I'm wearing a headset because all of my other stuff doesn't seem to work very well. So I did just buy a new DJI microphone set for my GoPro. Let me see if I can find it here. I'll show it to you guys. It's pretty cool. It came in this neat little package right here. Nice, neat little package. And I just bought the one microphone and the transmitter. But here is the transmitter. This is really pretty cool because what it does is it connects directly to the GoPro, and there's an adapter so it will connect to my iPhone as well. But in the last video, I was still using my small rig, which has been great. I love the small rig, and I got that from TikTok. But this one is, I'm working on this with all of my GoPro. Um, I love you guys. They just got back from church and they're sitting here listening to their favorite YouTuber. I'm glad to hear that. Thanks so much. You guys are one of my favorite subscribers too. Thank you. It's great. So anyway, the new microphone setup for the GoPro I think is going to be great because I've got a Hero 12, and if you remember from my videos, I've talked about the Hero 5. And it's funny because back in the early days when I was using the Hero 5, I used to get all kinds of complaints that your audio is terrible, and I knew it was, but I didn't really know what to do about it. So, and of course, over the last 10 years, advancements in smartphone technology and certainly in advancements in GoPros have made things a lot better. But even the GoPro Hero 12, when you have the camera facing out and you're looking at things, the audio on it is terrible. So, fix my collar here. Yeah, the audio on it's terrible. So I really needed the DJI to connect, and it seems like it's working real well. So I'm pretty happy about that. So let's talk about the last video. So I got a lot of responses for the last video, and I think I've gained about 8 or 9 subscribers from that video, which is wonderful. Um, the reason I'm doing a live today is because I wanted to make that connection with subscribers, but I also wanted to, let you guys know I didn't have any content this week to put up. So, but that's okay. I think, and besides, I haven't done live in a long time. So if you like the live, make sure you click that like button because it'll push it out on YouTube. And Patrick's a busy guy. Yeah, I'll tell you what, as a digital nomad working full time and trying to balance a YouTube channel with, you got to understand something. There's so much learning that takes place when you want to do really, I think, engaging videos. And so I think what you have to do is you have to spend some time really understanding, first of all, who's your audience, who are the people that are watching, and what is the purpose of the whole channel. And my purpose in the beginning was to show everybody my preparations for getting on the road, and then getting on the road, and then being on the road, and all the challenges that you have when you're living full time on the road. But then after COVID, and when I got back onto YouTube, all that stuff has changed. Everything's changed. Yep. And the thing of it is that change is now something where I think van lifers and RV life people need to start looking at it and say, okay, well, what has changed? Is the majesty of freedom on the road no longer a big thing? you know and for many it might not be. I remember back in the day when I was meeting up with you guys, Dave and Katie. It was all the rage. Everybody had a YouTube channel. Mike Gondek used to say that everybody gets a YouTube channel when they buy an RV. And I think that was true. I mean, even though we know it's not, but I mean, they should have a little sign, a little placard inside the RV that says, here's the price of the RV. And oh, by the way, if you buy this RV, you get a YouTube channel. So those days I think are done. And which is good, because then maybe then the content field won't be so saturated. But I know for me, I don't follow as many people in the RV life community as I used to, and I don't know why that is. I mean, all the different things that you see are like, you know, um, they lied to me as a thumbnail, or 10 things you don't want to know about your RV, or 10 reasons why you shouldn't get on the road full time. And so it's really kind of all clickbait now, from what I could see. And so I'm trying to be real, I'm trying to be authentic, and just share my real experiences. But I got to tell you something, though. I'm not sure. There may be a day where I say, that's it for the channel. I hope not anytime soon. But, I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into producing videos. So, a lot of people ask me, why did you go from an RV to a van? And I think that's an important question to answer. I went from an RV to a van because I wanted the freedom and the flexibility that a van offered. And sometimes, when you're driving around an RV, it's great. It's, a lot more space, a lot more storage, and it's just a nice bigger space. But, I've had everything. I've had a Class A, I've had a Class C, I've had 2 trailers, and actually 3 trailers, right? and the van. And I got to tell you, the van has given me the best flexibility ever. Not only because you can carry everything you want here, but because it's just so easy to drive. It's not any different than driving like an SUV. And that's what's really cool about it. I don't ever have a problem hopping in the van and just going somewhere. Now, obviously, if I'm going to go on a longer trip or whatnot, it's going to take me a little while to get myself prepped, clothes and food and, all the essential supplies that you need. But the van is just wonderful in terms of flexibility. And the other thing is I've really connected with the van life community, which such great people. They really are. Let's see, what is the biggest downside of van life versus the bigger RVs, and what is the upside? I think the downside of van life is the lack of storage. That's a huge issue. If you saw the last few videos I did on the gear you need or on the storage solutions, it's totally the storage issue. My Yakima gear locker has been wonderful. And I talk about it sometimes on the channel because I think it's a great, and you don't have to get a Yakima. I mean, anything that connects to the base of or the back of your van that gives you extra storage is wonderful. Otherwise everything is going to be stored inside the van, which makes it really tough. Like when you pull over to a rest area, you got to go through all those things, put them somewhere. So you pull the coffee pot out, make some coffee, because you know how I am about coffee. So that would be the downside of van life. That's the only downside I can see. In terms of space, you know, I think most people will agree that anytime you downsize from a house or a sticks and bricks into a vehicle to live, you know, you're really changing up a whole bunch of stuff. And learning to live in a smaller space is not that difficult to do. At least it hasn't been that difficult for me. Transitioning from whether it's the trailer or the Class A or the Class C, which all had decent space, um, into a van, you know, would I look at a different configuration today? Yeah, I might. Instead of having one of those beds that you got to make every time, you know, I love those van lifers that have the big beds in the back. Those are really cool. So that might be an option for me. In terms of the trade-offs, you know, I think if you're somebody who really can't live in a smaller space, it might be better for you to, you know, hang out in a Class A or a larger trailer. That's the differences for me. So if you're on the call, what are the differences for you? What do you look at? Once we sell this big motorhome and buy our sticks and bricks, I think we will look into van life for traveling. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think you guys will love van life, especially if you have a home base. Um, Katie says, "Do you miss Myrtle?" You know, it's so funny that you asked that question because I did a whole video series on trading Myrtle, when I traded up from Myrtle to the trailer and the truck. And I have to tell you, on the day that I traded Myrtle in, it was pretty emotional. And I think it was emotional because there were so many different ties I had to it. You know, my dad, who had then passed away, you know, he had worked with me painlessly and tirelessly on Myrtle. And yeah, so I think from that perspective, yeah, I miss Myrtle, but it was actually really nice to get into a newer RV that had modern features and amenities that Myrtle just didn't have. Well, yeah, I mean, you guys have a beautiful 44-foot motorhome, and you guys just bought that like a year ago, right? So I mean, um, yeah, videos of my dad were great, and you know, I've got it documented on my channel. So if I ever miss my dad, I can go back in and, you know, be like, okay, there's dad. But yeah, no, for you guys, I mean, traveling in your 44-foot diesel pusher, I think is beautiful. And then, um, yeah, I bet you did. You know, that Grand Canyon Star was a nice RV, very nice. Yeah, over a year ago. Okay, good. I figured that's what you guys did. I wasn't sure, I thought it was about a year ago. I remember the video on that. I was like, I remember the video you guys made anticipating and then saying, "Oh my gosh, we got a secret." And I'm like, "What? What the heck? What's the secret?" And then you left a cliffhanger, and then we came back the next video and you're like, "All right, there it is." So you know, it's funny when I look back over the 10 years, and that's the whole thing, too. You know, this channel has now been in existence since October of 2015. I think I put my first video up in around December. My dad and I had been looking for RVs because I was telling him I was going to get on the road. He thought I was crazy, but then he thought it was exciting. So, you know, yeah, it's 10 years. And FMP. Yeah, Katie, congratulations on getting enrolled in your FMP program. That's wonderful. You know, there's such a need, especially in rural communities. There's such a need for a family nurse practitioner. So I'm real proud of you. That's a great selection and a great choice. You know, I don't know that a lot of people know on the channel that I'm a nurse, and that I work remotely as a nurse educator. And so, um, yeah, FMP, FNP, you know. But yeah, as far as RV life is concerned and van life, you know, let's, you know, my trip out to Arizona is a great indicator of how comfortable I was, you know, just driving and being on the road for a month, you know, actually a little bit longer than a month, but it was pretty cool. I mean, I loved being able to stay overnight anywhere. You know, the van was so small, I could park it anywhere. And that was really cool. Although I did enjoy parking at the Loves. What do they call those now? The Loves RV stop. I didn't necessarily need to, but I think after I was on the road a couple days, I just wanted some power and I wanted some water. You know, I can shower in the van, and it's not a bad shower at all. In fact, the back of my van is the whole bathroom, so it really actually works out very well. But a lot of people say that they don't have a shower in their vans. I need the amenities in the van. I need there to be a shower in the van. Um, I don't have a Planet Fitness membership, although I probably should. But so yeah, Katie said, "Are you traveling this weekend in the van, and where are you going?" I was actually traveling to Salt Lick Campground, which is a Corps of Army Engineers campground this weekend, but we were supposed to get some really, really bad storms yesterday, so I canceled that reservation because there was like, I don't know, all kinds of crazy weather, and I didn't really want to be in a campground, you know, with that crazy weather. So, but yeah, I've got plans to get back out. I'm really looking at spending some time in some of the Corps of Army Engineer parks. First of all, they're beautiful parks. Number one. Number two, they're very picturesque, and there's a lot of things you can explore at these parks. So I'm really excited about doing that. I may also go up to Michigan and hang out with Mike and Dawn for a couple weeks and visit with them. That would be nice. And then this winter, I'll be getting back on the road um, again. I'm not quite sure what my winter plans are at this point, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Well, I think that I appreciate you guys being on the call with me today. And I think I'm going to go ahead and end the live. But listen, if you guys are, you know, definitely stay in touch with me. And for those of you who may be watching the video after the live, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And yes, definitely, I'll be coming out to Arizona. I think I may actually come out to Arizona for the winter. We'll have to see. And so it'll be, yeah, this time I'll stop by, I promise. Absolutely. All right, guys, I'm going to end the stream. You guys all take care. Thanks so much.